1997, a snapshot. So on our first stop around the world, we go to Edinburgh, Scotland for the scientific discovery of 1997. This would be Dolly the sheep. She was cloned in 97, which made her the first cloned adult mammal. Changed the way scientists looked at cell growth, aging, and development, but it also raised questions regarding if this was an ethical advancement in science. The proponents argued that perfectly cloned animals could produce human proteins that are needed by certain patients, but the negative side proposed that if sheep were cloned, how far behind was human cloning and the ethical issues that come along with that? In 98, scientists isolated human stem cells using research from Dolly. But it also promised regenerative medicine, but the public also feared that science is beginning to get out of hand. And again, all of this research originated from the Dolly experiments in 97. Now on to the judicial part of 97. We stop at the Oval Office in the White House. President Clinton banned federal funding of human cloning and stem cell research, even though there was no solid evidence that federal money was actually supporting researchers that were experimenting with creating human embryos. Clinton wanted to make sure this was not happening with government funds. It was discovered that one day after Dolly the sheep was successfully cloned, researchers in Seattle revealed they had done the same to rhesus monkeys. While the president banned the creation of human embryos and stem cell research, Congress was the driving force behind the banning of research. In 97, it was found that 93% of the American public did not approve of human cloning. On the next stop around the world, we go to Paris, France. This is where Princess Diana was horribly killed in a high-speed car crash after photographers began chasing her car on motorcycles. The car entered a tunnel at high speed and lost control, careening into a concrete pole at over 80 miles per hour. Her companion and chauffeur died at the scene while she was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries and was then pronounced dead at the hospital. This made worldwide headlines, and there were more than 33.25 million viewers across the United States alone who turned in to witness the burial. This was the most watched funeral of all time, even topping Michael Jackson's funeral in 2009. Studies conducted after Diana's death concluded that the death of a major public figure influences suicide rates, and in this case especially in women ages 25 to 44. These studies were conducted in the UK but were relatable to the United States. The next stop will be Bangkok, Thailand. This is where the 1997 Asian financial crisis originated. Thailand spent billions and billions of dollars from their reserve to protect their currency at once, which backfired and actually devalued their currency dramatically. Other Asian countries then began to follow the same trend, these including the Philippines, Singapore, and also Malaysia. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, began to suggest economic reforms, and they allowed countries to borrow money from them as a precaution. But some of this currency began to float with no support. After Hong Kong's economy plummeted, so did the American, with the Dow losing upwards of 544 points in one day, causing trading to be suspended in the United States. Other Asian countries forcefully closed banks that were not contributing to the recovery to cut out unneeded assets. The chaos in Asia left the American economy in turmoil, with investors not knowing to invest or to sell their stocks. This is one of the first real scares for the modern American economy, and investors have not fully trusted the American economy after this incident due to the volatility in the market. The last stop on our trip around the world will be Canada, the United States, and Mexico. The first 3 years of NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, is considered a success by Congress and President Clinton in 1997. Trade flourished between the three countries, with exports in 1996 from the U.S. being over $190 billion. U.S. exports to Canada increased 33% in those few years. Canada bought 3 of every $10 the U.S. exported around the world. In the first few years, NAFTA increased the amount of jobs in the country, and unemployment decreased from 7.5% to 5.3%. In Clinton's State of the Union address, he expressed his interest of expanding trade to Asia and also Latin America. This agreement did help in some sectors, but also not in others. Mexico's poverty rate has not decreased nearly as much as it should have, but now they have many more options for shopping, or in other words, expansion of consumerism. Also, NAFTA has protected foreign investors by allowing them to bypass certain government regulations which they deem unfair and hindering for them doing business in the United States.